Welcome to the Minutes to Win It podcast. I'm Jason Gilbo at jgilbo11. This is Russell Clay at RussellJClay on Twitter. Breaking down a four-game slate tonight. Kind of a fun four games. I mean, outside of maybe Milwaukee and Miami. So it's not a bad slate to play. We've been kind of used to the four-game slates lately. So a good night for GPPs and cash games, in my opinion.
Right. I love those the smaller slates in all sports pretty much, just because they're fun tournament nights. It kind of gives you a better chance at hitting it big.
Yeah, and you can kind of diversify your lineup a little more and work on some strategies. But looking at point guard tonight, there are a couple injuries. Goran Dragic is already ruled out tonight, which means you're going to see some Tyler Johnsons because Beno Udrih is out as well. So he's been the guy. He's a shooting guard eligible on both sides, but he's been the guy logging bigger minutes, playing alongside Wade. And it's been a nice value play.
Yeah, no, and I still think he's a value play. It would have been nicer if Wade was out, but I guess he's probable for tonight. So nice play, especially on this short slate for a shooting guard.
Yeah. I think if you're paying up at point guard, it's obviously Russell Westbrook. I mean, the guy's coming off a triple-double. He's averaged nearly 2 triple-doubles against Denver this season in 2 games. So it's really hard not to pay up because it's pretty shallow at point guard with just a couple other options.
Right, elite player in a pretty much elite matchup. So those are the combinations you like.
Yeah, Tyreke Evans questionable tonight. He had some soreness in the knee yesterday and did not play at all. Jrue Holiday's still coming off the bench, but he's probably the guard I want just because he has a higher usage rate than the other two. And he's more of a focal offensive guy. And this guy, he's a double-double threat because he can rack up those assists.
Yeah, I like him and Rubio in this game. I think both have a good chance to reach value. In a normal slate, I probably wouldn't like them as much as real options, but given what else is out there, I think they're interesting to hit value.
Yeah, definitely. Rubio's always a sneaky play, but probably not going to be so sneaky because it's just a 4-game slate.
Right.
His price tag is definitely intriguing, especially in that matchup where New Orleans really hasn't defended guards well all season. But going any lower, you're likely going to be paying up for Westbrook and then going in that middle tier range. MCW is out there, but it's going to be a tough matchup against the Heat team.
Right.
I don't mind it in GPPs just because, the guy can rack up tons. Like, he does have a very high ceiling, but he also does have a very, very low floor.
I'm probably not touching him. But like you said, he does have that ceiling. And in a 4-game slate, he's kind of a nice contrarian play. What do you think of Emmanuel Mudiay tonight?
I like it. Yeah, he's the other value guy I'm looking at. I don't actually mind him in cash games as well, just because that price tag's pretty low. And, he's been logging big minutes outside of those Miami and Golden State games. But, the games he's come back, he's played 35 minutes or more. So
he's really the lower tiered option that I'm looking at for he gets consistent minutes, and it's a nice value, I think, tonight.
Yeah, and not a bad matchup as well because OKC hasn't been really defending guards. Westbrook especially, he's been kind of being a little lazy on defense there. So I don't mind Mudiay. I think he's a nice price tag. The turnovers are the only thing that really have killed on this season.
Right.
But,
I don't trust him in cash or anything, but I think to reach value tonight would be a big hit at 5,400 for point guard. So that'd be nice.
He's a nice pair. I don't mind, going with the Westbrook Mudiay. It's only costing you about 16,000 right there. So,
right.
Moving over to shooting guard, of course, Eric Bledsoe's already out, but Tyreke Evans questionable. You're going to see some Eric Gordon. Not a great matchup for him. Minnesota's been actually pretty good against shooting guards this season because you got the lengthy Andrew Wiggins there. But I think if anyone, it's Monta Ellis for me, even if George Hill plays.
Yeah, I'm liking Monte here. Considering the price and the matchup, I think that'll work out well in terms of him hitting value. But like you mentioned, I think because of the 5,100 and the price for Gordon, I like Tyler Johnson, so I'm probably not going to be touching much of Gordon tonight just because I'm going to be going with that other 5,100 option. But he's kind of an interesting tournament play.
Yeah, we saw he does have upside. He came in when Tyreke left the game. Of course, that wasn't an easier matchup against the Kings, but, we have seen him do it earlier this season when they had all the injuries. But, like you said, I think Tyler Johnson's your better cash game play, just because he's shown a little bit more consistency when he stepped into the rotation.
Right.
Looking up at higher guys, I mean, Andrew Wiggins, he is in play. I think more for tournaments, just because his peripheral stats aren't always there, which kind of bugs me. He's really scoring dependent, so it's not a bad matchup for him, though.
That is one of the more surprising storylines for me. For his career, I expected him to be like a double-double machine coming into the league. He's got that super athletic frame, and that's just not how they use him. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a decent matchup for tonight, but is Chris Middleton an option, even though he's got a tough matchup?
He's been really good, I mean, of late, and looking at what he's done over the last 10 days and 6 games there. I mean, he's averaged 23, 4, and 3. And I don't know. His price has gotten up there. It's tough to pay up for, especially if I'm paying up for Westbrook and Durant.
Right.
I just think I'd feel a little bit safer with Ellis, but I think Middleton's still fine. I think that whole game in general is a GPP game because they do have high upside players, and the matchup is going to keep a lot of guys off of them.
I'm just looking at that Milwaukee team, and it's like, but then they're playing the Heat.
Game.
Yeah, but probably want to avoid them more than not tonight.
Yeah, and going lower into the bottom tier, Devin Booker, he's run into a stretch of some tough matchups. Looking at Minnesota, Boston, Indiana, Miami, they're all very good at the guards, but he produced against Miami and Indiana before. He went 19-2-2, and at that price tag, I think he's one of the better value options at shooting guard.
Yeah, he had a nice 3-game stretch there against Charlotte. He had a nice game against Charlotte too. I'm a little scarred after the last two games, but I think like you said, he's worth a shot again for his price and considering the minutes he's going to get.
Yeah, you just kind of have to make that decision between him and Johnson. I think those are your two best shooting guard options, but Monta Ellis is definitely your top option, and then keep an eye on the Tyreek injury.
Mm-hmm.
Small forward Kevin Durant. It's pretty hard not to play him tonight against Denver, especially with Paul George in a big time shooting slump, and then their prices not being too different.
Yeah, no, and I was going to bring that up either way, but Paul George has really been struggling from the 3-point line, and I'm kind of not comfortable playing him until I see him through this sort of slump. So I guess you could throw it out there and hope he ends that streak, but I'd much rather, even price irrelevant or price agnostic, I like Durant.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there. And I've been kind of just tossing George out there because he's been in great spots lately, and the shooting just hasn't come around. I mean, he shot 37% in the last 6 games. And, I mean, yes, he's still putting up a decent amount of points, but, I mean, for 700 less on DK, it's just hard not to go Durant there.
Right. I'm with you.
And then your guy, Danilo Gallinari, you've been riding this train since he's come back from injury. Tougher matchup, but, I mean, he's always got that upside. And the price tag's not bad.
Yeah, no, I like it. He did get shut down by Miami the other day, but I think that's more of Miami just being in an elite defense rather than a him problem. So yeah. I like his price tonight, and I think he could definitely hit value. Again, I don't think you want to fade Durant for Gallinari, but maybe if you have a utility spot open, I would be looking at him.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the higher scoring games of the night, according to Vegas. And we've seen Denver keep games close. And if Denver is going to keep this game close, it's going to be because of Gallinari putting up his points. So,
right.
Coming off some foul trouble in the last game, that was why he saw lower minutes, but still had a solid game of posting over 30 fantasy points in just 23 minutes. So, but outside, I mean, small forward's really top heavy tonight. There's no injury concerns, but you got guys like Giannis, tough matchup against Miami. He's also been really good. The whole Bucks team has really been in a great fantasy stretch lately, but they are going to run into a tough matchup, and you just kind of rank those other 3 small forwards ahead of him.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough matchup, so I'd probably go in Gallo at that price range.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, going any lower, I mean, you're looking at guys like CJ Miles, PJ Tucker, Mirza Teletovic. I mean, it's getting kind of dicey. I mean, Shabazz Muhammad, he's been seeing some minutes. as a Chiefs small forward play. You're gonna have to take a shot at one of these guys, and I don't mind Shabazz. I don't. Again, I mean, it's a nice matchup. New Orleans has been one of the poor defenses in the league this season, and as long as he gets his 25 minutes, he's going to put up at least 20 fantasy points.
As we said at the beginning, if you're playing tournaments, this is where you start to diversify your lineups and just kind of fit different combinations in, because there's no real consistency to this whole group. But I think one or two of them hits tonight. So that Muhammad Teletovic, CJ Miles group there, that range.
Yeah, I mean, with no Rodney Stuckey, Miles is going to be more the scorer off the. Well, sometimes he sees minutes. It just depends how they line up, because they will line up small probably tonight, so he'll probably start in the starting lineup. But he's a guy who flirts, 25 to 28 minutes a game. So,
right.
If he gets hot from three, watch out. Miles can put up a big game.
Yep, he's one of those guys that just totally inconsistent, but when he gets hot, he could go for 25 points.
It's scary. Moving on to power forward, not a sexy position tonight. You got Anthony Davis at 10K facing off against Minnesota. I mean, the problem is if you're paying up tonight, you're paying up for guys like Westbrook and Durant who have been more consistent. I mean, as for Davis, he hasn't been, for that 10K price tag. So
no.
I can't. I mean, definitely. I mean, tournaments, I think he's going to be the lower owned superstar tonight. But it's hard for me to pay up for him in cash games.
Yeah, I'm not touching him. He just hasn't been consistent over the last 4 or 5 games, and there's always that injury risk. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you look at the game yesterday, not a bad matchup against Memphis. Had a good game on his part, but for that 10K price tag, we're still hoping for a little more. It's kind of like the way Harden is right now.
It's just, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's not about them as players. It's just their price for their value. It's going to be tough for them to hit value unless they have a huge game.
Yeah. Next guy we're looking at, Chris Bosh. I mean, he's a nice tier 2 play tonight. It's a nice matchup against Milwaukee. They struggle rebounding the ball. They've struggled against offensive big men this season. And I don't think a ton of people are going to be paying up for him, because I think there's a lot of nice pieces down here for power forward that you're going to pay down with tonight to fit guys in. But I don't mind Bosh tonight.
Yeah, I view him kind of like I viewed Dirk Nowitzki the other day, where I don't think his ceiling is all that huge, but nice in cash games, and like you said, he's not going to be high on. So, that's an interesting cash game play for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, the ceiling's not always going to be there. Occasionally he gets there. He has shown it a couple of times this season, but I mean, he is going to flirt in that 30 to 35 fantasy point range, and then not much more. So I think there's a few guys down lower that you can kind of get for better value. And Serge Ibaka, his price is really lowered. Nice matchup against the Denver front court tonight. Just 5,900 on DK.
Yeah, no, and he's been playing well lately. It's a good matchup. You kind of have the blowout worry again. Kind of like the other day, but yeah, he's going to get his 30 to 35 minutes, and there's always the chance of a double-double for him. So yeah, I like that. Play.
If he gets his blocking upside in there, he's averaging 2.3 per game this season, but we have seen him get in that stretch where he posts 4 to 5 blocks, which 8 to 10 fantasy points on top of, a cheap 13-10 double-double is a really nice value for Serge Ibaka. The Suns situation, Markieff Morris, John Lure. It seems Markieff Morris is back, so take advantage of it while you can before he gets back up into that 6K range.
Yeah, that's a beautiful price right there. So I love that in all formats.
Yeah, since he's come back, he's been great. He's averaging 17, 3, and 5, 9, 4, 9, 16, 1, and 9. Those are the last 3 games he's been seeing 34, 22, and 27 minutes in that span. So he's below 5K on both sides. I think he's a great play in all formats tonight. Not a bad matchup against what seems to be – it's people always try and fade against the Indiana front court, but they aren't that good defensively.
It's the illusion from the past few years when they had Lance Stevenson running around there, but it's not really that same team that it was a few years ago,
Yeah, and they're playing a faster paced game, and the Suns are one of the higher paced games or paced teams in the league. So Vegas loves this game. I think it's going to stay close and going to be a ton of offense. A lot of great value in this game.
Yeah, and Morris has has taken the role from Lure. So, or not taken it, but he's definitely the more consistent value.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been awesome lately.
Yeah, he's out of the doghouse there in Phoenix, so I think he's pretty safe tonight. Anyone else you're looking at down in the power forward? I mean, then we're kind of getting a little riskier with guys like Darrell Arthur, Jabari Parker, Kenneth Faried.
Like Kenneth Faried always has the upside, and on a 4-game slate, like you never know. But that's not a great matchup for him. So
yeah, it is
probably
tough.
avoiding for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, he has averaged 16 and 6 in 2 games against OKC, but he's just played 21 minutes per game in those 2. I mean, for minutes wise, it's really tough. But I mean, GPPs, if you're looking to really be different, I don't mind Faried.
Right.
But it's a tough pill to swallow because he does play limited minutes some nights.
Yeah, it's just so random. It's tough to trust him. But again, tonight makes it a little more of an option.
Yeah. Moving over to center, once again, it's pretty top heavy tonight. You got your Hassan Whiteside block party going on. Still not a bad price tag for him. He's been pretty consistent minutes wise of late, averaging about 30 in the last 5 games and been playing well. I mean, he's averaged 11 and 11 in those 5. And as we know, the blocks are always there. He's averaged 4.4 per game, but obviously a little bit bumped up due to that monster 11 block game.
Yeah. But I mean, he's been pretty consistent. So I like him tonight. That's probably the guy I'm going to be going with mainly at center. So I don't know. What's your take on Towns?
See, I think Towns is my favorite play. I mean, I've been picking on – it's not a bad matchup for Whiteside, but I do like Towns a little bit more in this matchup against New Orleans, who have been in the bottom 5 all year in fantasy points allowed to opposing centers. So I just think for a little bit cheaper, I mean, I think they both have pretty good upside, but I just like Towns a little bit more because of the matchup.
You're a Towns truther.
I love him, man. He's such a good player.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously – the double is always there, and he has defensive block upside as well. So he's a great player, and this is a good spot for him tonight. I just think I just like Whiteside's role a little more right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you there. I think Towns is going to be my higher owned center in all my line as well. Whiteside just sneaks into some of them, but
right, makes sense.
I can't argue against either one. And then Greg Monroe, he's smashed in the middle there, but not a guy we're on tonight.
No, yeah, I'm jumping to one of those two. I'm not really in on Monroe.
Yeah. Looking at some other, I mean, injury news, Ian Mahinmi, he was sat out last game. He's questionable tonight, sore left heel. It doesn't expect to be too serious, but if he does sit, you're going to see Miles Turner, who had just a monster game. He's probably going to be on more radar than the other night, but went 25, 2, and 7 with 2 blocks and a steal, 42 points in 28 minutes against Phoenix, who has Tyson Chandler down low, who only plays about 20 minutes per game, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean that could be a huge value, and the thing you look for on these small slates, if you just nail that one guy for that cheap price, it allows you to get those 2 studs in a lineup. So
yeah.
And hey, I mean maybe we could always see a Tyson Chandler vintage game. If
that's pushing it. I mean, that's always pushing it, but
yeah, no.
I mean, that's a situation to keep an eye on. And because I mean, there's other centers down here on play. Gorjai Deng, not really in play tonight. He hasn't seen the minutes he used to in the prior this season.
Right.
Even though it's a good matchup, but Steven Adams, he's a guy who's been playing pretty well, but he definitely lacks the upside.
Yeah, other than the mustache, he doesn't have much upside.
Yeah, center's pretty weak tonight. I think Whiteside and Towns are your safe bet. If Mahinmi sits, you're looking at Turner being a great value option yet again.
Right. Yeah. As I said, the top 2, and then it's tough though because it's going to be hard to fit those in with the other 2 if you want to get 2 studs in your lineup. So It's kind of that toe the line, figure it out, and find some way to get the top center and 2 of those studs in a lineup.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're a little bit more on DK. It's easier because you can play another center. So if you go Towns and Turner, if Mahinmi sits, it's not a bad.
Right.
It's a little bit easier, but I mean, on FanDuel, rolling the dice on just one Turner is a little risky.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's going to wrap it up here for the Minutes to Win It. Head over to Daily Fantasy Cafe to check out all our tools and NBA content for the rest of the year.